Russia unleashed one of the biggest attacks yet. Overnight, nearly 300 drones and around 50 missiles hammered Ukraine's energy grid, cities, and infrastructure. Lives were lost. Power went out. Chaos spread. Power stations in Kyiv, Odessa, Dnipro, Poltava, and Sumy hit hard. Bridges and rail links disrupted. Kyiv region confirmed casualties and injuries. Meanwhile, Ukraine struck deep inside Russian-held territory, hitting ships, aircraft and artillery units in occupied Crimea and destroying long-range rocket systems in Zaporizhia Oblast. This isn't routine combat. It's a spike in intensity. The scale of Russia's barrage, hundreds of drones, dozens of missiles, is the largest thrust in weeks. And Ukraine's response shows its reach is expanding. Fire: why this escalates global tension. This barrage came as international peace efforts stagnate. Geneva talks yielded no breakthrough. Both sides remain locked in maximal demands. The destruction of energy infrastructure in the dead of winter amplifies civilian suffering, feeding global worry about collapse of social order and refugee waves. It's not just battlefield attrition, it's systemic disruption. Ukraine firing into Russian-occupied Crimea beyond defensive lines signals a shift from holding ground to deep operational strikes. Direct hit: who is involved and what they might do next. Russia. Mass drone and missile launches aimed at crippling power networks. Issuing propaganda claims it targets only infrastructure. On the ground, Russian forces hold about 20% of Ukrainian territory and continue attritional advance. Ukraine. Air Force reports interceptions, but many strikes still land. Forces hitting Russian surface vessels, planes, rocket artillery in Crimea, escalating beyond border defense. West and EU. Sanctions negotiations are fracturing. Hungary and Slovakia threaten to block new sanctions unless Ukraine restores Russian oil flows. U.S. diplomatic push has stalled. Possible next moves. Russia could intensify waves of aerial and drone assaults. Ukraine may expand deep strike operations against logistics and Russian production facilities. Western support could fracture or strengthen, depending on geopolitical brinkmanship. Warning: escalation scenarios. Kyiv one full winter offensive. Russia deploys larger missile barrages, possibly including hypersonic systems or strategic bombers, pushing for maximum disruption. Kyiv 2 Ukrainian counter-blow strategy. Kyiv expands precision strikes into Russian airspace and occupied territories, testing Western tolerance and response thresholds. Kyiv 3 NATO involvement pressure. If civilian casualties mount and infrastructure collapses escalate, Western publics may demand more direct involvement or expanded weapons supply, risking wider confrontation. Kyiv 4 sanctions breakdown. Internal EU fractures over sanctions, especially with Hungary and Slovakia, could weaken collective deterrence and embolden further escalations. Firecracker ending on the brink. Russia's latest overnight onslaught and Ukraine's deep response aren't just another day of war. They're a significant escalation with global consequences, civilian suffering, fractured diplomacy, and the real risk of this conflict bleeding into broader geopolitical fault lines. The question now isn't if the war escalates. It's how far it will go.